Hey everyone, it's Bob, and I'm here with Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about horror stuff, all kinds of horror stuff. We're going to talk about horror news. We're going to talk about upcoming horror game. A upcoming horror game. This is the first one, and I'm already messing up. And then we're going to get into a little bit of a review, we're just going to talk. We're just going to shoot the shit.
We're gonna shoot the shit in front of a mic, and you guys are gonna listen wherever you are, in your car.
Are you in your car?
In your car.
Hit yes for yes.
In most likely your car. I'm glad that we can make it to where we enhance your driving experience, and we make it less boring for you to get to work or to wherever you're going.
Or if you're going nowhere, maybe you're on a treadmill.
Yeah, maybe you're on a treadmill and you're like, I don't like being on the treadmill. I'm gonna listen to a podcast about horror shit. It's gonna be great.
I think that's we don't have a name right now. I think that's gonna be the name.
What?
A podcast about horror shit.
Yeah, and it's people will know what it's about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get everything out.
Yeah.
Okay, so first segment, we're going to talk about horror game news. So hot off the presses. I've got the presses right here. Hold on. Oh, it's hot. We've got Layers of Fear coming to PlayStation 4.
Never heard of it.
Moving on. It's actually a really interesting game where you play a painter.
All right, that would explain the title because it sounds stupid.
Who's trying to find inspiration for his latest masterpiece.
Ooh.
Next up, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is, you'll like this, it's coming to iOS and Android.
Does that mean that it's like a shitty 16-bit game or something?
It's an older game.
Okay.
Yeah. No? Okay.
No, I mean, what, I don't know anything about it.
We don't have to know anything about it.
Okay.
You just sit there.
we're just letting you know. We're just letting them know what's coming out.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, check it out on iOS and Android.
Yeah.
Go to your local Google Play
Sure.
store and look it up. And then on the iOS, I don't really know what you're doing. If you have an iOS product or a Mac product, you're probably a fucking idiot.
Oh, shit!
And, but feel free to download I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It is now available.
It should be noted that we are using a MacBook for all of this stuff, so, yeah, I don't think the Apple sponsor is going to be very happy with that.
Well, just edit what I said out.
Okay, we'll just cut that out. We'll just cut that out in post. Next, I know you'll like this one. Resident Evil 0 Remaster in HD, now available.
That's me doing punching noises. Yep. If you punch, that's how it actually sounds, but it sounds so stupid that people edit it in post and movies and stuff, and they add this smack. But in actuality, if you've ever gone to a fight, and I know most of you probably haven't, but it sounds like when you hit someone. So anyway.
Yeah, it sounds like just people kissing.
Yes, it sounds like people kissing, and that's why it's edited. So anyway, so yeah, Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster. Didn't play it when Resident Evil 0 immediately came out, and that's because I was still getting over the Resident Evil 1 remake on GameCube that my family and I played. I wanted to buy it, but I wasn't mentally, I was still getting over all the scares from the first remaster, which was an amazing game. It's funny that because what it feels like is like Resident Evil's like a joke. The series as a whole.
Oh, totally
to most people. And I actually really like Resident Evil, I guess just because it, I don't know. I don't really know why.
It's probably like nostalgia a little bit. Because for me, Resident Evil 2 was the first game I ever played, the first survival horror game I ever played. And unless you count like Doom, but that's not really, I don't know, that's not really survival horror, although you do survive horrors.
There was, I think Doom was the game. We're totally going off track here.
Oh, yeah, we're totally. This isn't news anymore. This is personal anecdote time.
Wait a minute. You know what? Let's go back. Let's just go back to news. Go ahead and explain to the audience what is happening to Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster.
What is happening to it?
Yeah.
It's coming out?
Oh, right. Okay. All right, cool. We're done with that.
The only other thing that I would say is that there's now a bundle that bundles a certain game that you love from your childhood. That bundles Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster and Resident Evil 1 Remaster into a pack for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And so you should totally get that.
Do you know how much it is?
It is $40.
Worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I could play that on PC. That's the kind of game that I have so much history with Resident Evil on console.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Maybe I'll just hook up I got a Steam controller. I could probably use that. Anyways, but no, like Resident Evil 1, probably one of the best survival horror games ever. Ever.
The remake.
The remake, yeah. Not the original. The original is a classic. It defined the genre. But it's fucking hilarious. It's like, I don't know, I've heard conflicting stories about whether it was supposed to be like hilarious B-movie type stuff.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
Yeah, it's weird because I can see it being both. I can, because I never actually played the original when I was a teenager. The first Resident Evil game I played was the second one, which was great. And then I played the remake of the first one. Mm-hmm. So both of my experiences when I was younger with Resident Evil were good. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why I still am a fan now is just because it's actually less horror, more action. Because I have a hard time playing horror games because I get scared really easily. But the Resident Evil games now are so... You know...
Why'd you punch me?
Can
I punch you back?
When I talk about horror games, I have to, I gotta release that tension or I'll bottle up inside me and, so, yeah,
she's
sometimes
really
you're gonna hear me like,
she's like pacing around the room right now.
Yeah, it's just horror game, whew, scary.
Rachel, calm down, Jesus.
But I can see, with the original Resident Evil 1 game, I can see how it could be, seen as something that was just created as like a joke. It really gets that vibe, or gives me that vibe anyway. Yeah. That, but at the same time, I could also see them. Oh no, it was actually we designed it to be like this shitty, and we're just like backtracking on. No, it was a joke. It was a joke. It was always a joke. It was a joke. Trust me. That's why we remade it. It was a joke.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, it's just
but yeah, regardless of where Resident Evil's origins came from, Resident Evil 1 HD Remake, one of the best survival horror, if not the best.
I have an amazing...
we should save most of this for like
yeah,
because we're gonna play.
I want it, yeah. And every time I talk up, because did you play? I know I ask you this every time. I can't remember if you play the remake.
I played the remake. I did not beat it.
Okay.
I played it and it scared the shit out of me.
Listen.
And I couldn't do it.
Okay, wait a minute.
Like, then this is someone who beat Silent Hill 2, around that time. And beat Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 3. 3 was tough, though. Nemesis was... Every time Nemesis showed up, it was like,
We are totally going way off track.
Totally.
I think this is how much we can easily talk about Resident Evil, though.
Yeah.
So maybe we could just make the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll just
Resident Evil. But on this one is actually supposed to be about a game we just played.
Yes. So we'll cut this off right here. Sorry, listeners. Yeah. Apologies. But there is one more news item, and it's a game that I was very interested on. I first saw it on Polygon. Oxenfree is now available. So go check that out. That one looks really nice.
What is it about?
It's a 2D sort of puzzle horror game where it's about these two kids who are like... The dialogue is really interesting because they're constantly talking to each other. That's one of the things that struck me about it. It was like... a horror game where they're doing all these, trying to do all these scary things, like, doors shut and, like, you don't know what's happening, loud noises and shit. But these two characters, this guy and girl, are constantly talking to each other. And it's like, normally you'd think that in a horror game, part of the horror is coming from being isolated and not having anyone to talk to. Like, that's one of the things that made Silent Hill 2 really good, is you got isolated, and then you had every now and then these characters come out who are really interesting, and you want to be with them, you want to, like, talk to them, and get partly because you're tired of, like, doing all this shit on your own. But, like, this game is, like, you're together, and you're just, like, chatting up a storm every time something happens. One of the characters is like, "What was that? Did you see that? Oh, I didn't see that." And, it's interesting. Kind of like Until
That actually does
Dawn.
seem very interesting. For me, when I play horror games, the moment that another character is introduced, even if they're obviously most of the time they're going to be a non-playable character.
Right.
There's an ease of tension there. It's almost like you're safe from, not exactly, you can still get into danger, but it feels like the danger is shared amongst two sets of shoulders or two pairs of shoulders instead of just your own shoulders. So that actually does sound really interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that co-op games, co-op horror, is like, if it's that's why Resident Evil, it works with Resident Evil, because it's like they're more focused on action and, like, jump scares and stuff like that, and visceral horror, gore, and it makes a little bit more sense because then it's like more of a team-based thing, and you're just experiencing things together. But when it's like something like survival horror, like, I don't know, like The Last of Us, when you're just, like, exploring and stuff, it makes co-op sort of, I don't know, it lessens the impact of the scares for me. And that's why it's, like, interesting and honestly a breath of fresh air for, like, a game of, like, Oxenfree to come out and just sort of embrace the whole NPCs talking to each other. And it's really interesting. It's more like a puzzle mystery type thing. And I'm going to play it. I'm going to get it. And I'm going to report back. I don't know if you wanted to play it, but I guess we'll see. So, yeah, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
This podcast was brought to you by Stamps.com. If you mail, and you probably don't because this is 2016, and we text and write emails to each other, but just in case you're one of the sentimental idiots and you like to write letters to your family, you might want to go to Stamps.com and get a membership there to print out some stamps. So you don't have to go to 7-Eleven or near the gas station and buy yourself a 30-cent stamp, because that's a ripoff. Excuse me, they're not even 30 cents anymore, they're like 45. I think they're like 2 quarters. That's a rip. Yep.
Stamps.com.
Stamps.com.
For all your stamp needs.
For all your stamp needs.
When you need to, smash your foot into the ground. Stamps.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? Here's the part where we talk about horror game previews, and we're going to try and do one for each podcast, because there are so many good-looking games coming out. But we wanted to talk a little bit about Routine, which I am very, very excited for. We just watched the trailer for it on YouTube, and do you have any thoughts?
I mean, I don't know what to say. I wasn't impressed.
You weren't impressed?
It looked like every other first-person horror game that I've played or that I've watched someone play. It felt very repetitive.
Yeah, it's funny because I was really, really excited for it. I still am, and I cannot wait to play it. I am the exact opposite of you. But it is weird that now after playing Alien Isolation, I watched that and I'm like, wow, this is almost the exact same.
I mean, it reminded me.
Just without Alien, just robots.
Behind Soma and Amnesia do this one? Because
no,
the looking behind the like looking around the corner, looking at the enemy, very
Amnesia-esque.
And Soma-ish, yeah. And so for a moment I thought, oh, it's them and their third game is just like their first two. But it isn't. It's even worse. It's another company creating their own game that feels just like another company's or any other first-person horror game. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, horror games for me, they... yeah, I'm not that. You're the horror dude.
Which is why it's funny that you're on the podcast, because it's like, I don't like horror games. I love horror games.
Well, there are genres that I love. Horror is, everybody can relate to horror because everybody likes to feel scared. It's fun to be scared, but I don't see anything. There's nothing in that trailer that impressed me at all.
Really?
There's nothing in that makes me want to play.
The graphics?
Okay, the graphics should be good. Do we need to bring up the graphics? You know what I mean? I don't get on Steam and download shitty 8-bit indie games.
You usually complain a lot when the game is 16-bit graphics, though.
Yeah, but that's my point. I don't buy or play those games. I play games. I play AAA games where the grgraphics are good. It's a given that the graphics are good. Did that look like a AAA game? It did. If it wasn't,
it's not. It's an indie game.
That's great. Some I don't think was AAA either, and that looked good.
I don't know. Made by the dudes who did Amnesia.
Yeah.
Are they AAA now? I don't know. I'd have to look up the specifics of that. But I don't know. As far as whether the game looks good or not, am stoked.
What is it in that trailer? Or is there anything else you know about the game that I don't? Because from that trailer alone, nothing happens.
First off,
there's a kid, first person. He's like, "Oh, this place is scary. I don't know what's going on."
Except he doesn't say that.
And he walks around and it's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna look into the computer. Oh no, there's a robot. Oh, it's scary. I better run." It's the same fucking shit.
There are a few things that I don't think the trailer conveyed. One is that routine is supposed to be
a routine first-person horror. Okay.
The joke, the idea is that it's
okay. I'm fucking around.
Great podcast. Oh man, can't wait to preview horror games with the person who fucking hates horror games.
No. I don't hate horror games. I don't. I'm just fucking around.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
But the thing that I don't think is communicated is that the game is about going into a random person's body and just starting off the game and doing as much as you can. And when you die, you're dead.
Well, that reminds me...
You have to start over all the way from the beginning.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that still reminds me sort of. Zombie U, which was not a very good... Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't like it.
Kind of roguelike-ish.
Where, you have that... You're in a random character, that character dies, and you start with a new character, and you go back, yeah.
Zombie U did it kind of strangely.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that game. I don't think a lot of people were feeling that game, actually.
No, which is
just a hype
makes it weird that they're re-releasing it on PlayStation.
Okay, I had no idea they were doing that.
Yeah, apparently they're just calling it Zombie or something.
Well, there's no Wii U. Can't call it Zombie U.
Nope. But yeah. So, that wasn't conveyed. I think that I don't know. I'm a sucker for sci-fi horror. I love it. I love it so much. Soma was good. We'll talk about Soma later. That's not for this podcast, but Soma was good. But this one's shaping up to be something that I think I'll love. Alien Isolation was also really nice. I still need to beat that, but yeah, Rachel's nodding her head.
Mm-hmm. Not my head.
But yeah, this reminds me of Alien Isolation in a lot of ways, which is funny because I heard about Routine before I heard about Alien Isolation. So this, to me, Alien Isolation was kind of ripping from Routine, but I don't know if that's the case. All I know is that Routine has been in development for quite a while. It was supposed to come out last year. Now it's hopefully, fingers crossed. I cross my fingers for this year, sometime soon. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
And that's an alpha trailer. I feel like you get to a point where the longer that it's in development, the more likely that it's going to be shit. Case in point, maybe Duke Nukem.
That's not case in point. That is it. That is the one thing.
I don't get impressed when they're like, yeah, it's in development for a while. Okay, well, that's whatever. We'll see we'll see
how
good it is.
We'll see, and that's the whole point of doing a preview. We'll see.
Not that I'm saying that it's bad. There was just nothing in the trailer for me that.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing about this whole preview thing. It's like, is this a game that you should be excited about? Me? Yes. Absolutely 100% yes. This game looks great. Graphics look amazing. The gameplay looks solid. it looks like they're trying to refine something and make it into an experience rather than just farming something out, which is kind of what happens with indie games these days. But, that makes those facts alone make me excited. I'm a sucker for the robots. And, the little robot. Did you catch the little robot at the beginning of the trailer with the little frowny face? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
god,
I want to spend more time with that robot. I want to name it. But you're not excited. You're not impressed. Mm-mm. So, okay. So that's, maybe be excited. If you don't like horror games, don't be excited.
Do I think you should be excited? No. You should just go about your day. Whatever you do in your daily life. You wake up, go to work, whatever.
That is a good point. Because I was kind of screwed over by, everyone was kind of screwed over by Silent Hills. So... That kind of, you know what? Don't get excited about anything. That's the whole point of the previews. Just look at this thing. It's coming out. Don't get excited about it because it could very well just drop off the face of the earth in like a second. Mm-hmm. Like, apparently, I've got a fucking curse whenever I'm like talking about this shit where the game just drops off the face of the earth. So anyway, all right, routine. Don't check it out. Don't get excited. Don't get excited about anything. Life is dull.
Life is pointless. Just whatever.
Just lay in bed all day and be sad.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be sad. Just bleh. You gotta be sad. Just bleh. Bleh. Don't get hyped. It's not worth it.
Don't get hyped. You'll get chiped.
Yep.
That'll work. Mm-hmm. Don't get excited. You'll get You'll get bited.
Yep. If you get excited, you'll get bited.
If you get excited.
When it comes to video games.
If you get excited, you'll get bited. Hey, do you like squares? Do you like space? Well, have I got a site for you? It's Squarespace. Squarespace is the one-stop shop for all your internet website building needs. It will help you make your, terrible website that you've been wanting to make for a while, but you thought it was a bad idea, and it is a bad idea. Don't get me wrong, it's a bad idea. Don't even waste time on it. Waste time on doing something else. Like make a podcast. You don't need a website for a podcast. You just need like some other site. Host that shit on YouTube. Just YouTube.com. Was YouTube built with Squarespace?
Yes.
It was?
There was two people behind the original YouTube before they sold it to Google, and what Squarespace
it was YouTube.
Looks like now is what YouTube looked like back in 2005. I was there. I'm old enough to remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So...
Squarespace. Build better email.
And if you want to mail out your email, then go to stamps.com.
Or MailChimp. Is that the MailChimp? I think it is. Oh, shit. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about a little game that we've played twice.
Yes.
All the way through, non-stop.
And just for the record, because we actually played it twice, all the way through nonstop, 2 nights in a row. Mm-hmm. I think the first night was like 8 hours, and the second night was like more like 7 hours. And I haven't done that in a long time. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like I'm already like, this game is amazing, you gotta get it. I'm not really saying that, but the fact
What is the game, by the way?
Oh my The game is Until Dawn. Duh. Wait, did we really not tell everybody what the title of the game?
Yeah, we missed that part.
Are they paying for this podcast?
I don't know. Listener, are you paying? You're costing us money. So, would you say that we played Until Dawn?
No. Okay. We did stay up all night, but not close enough. We started at 7 p.m. the first night, and then we stopped at it was like 3 a.m. So
it was early.
We needed another few hours before we got till dawn. Second night, the next night, the next night. I can't believe we did it the next night. That's not something that I do. Last time I played a gaming session like that was Warcraft when I was an addicted loser. That was about a decade ago. There's some interesting info about me. Anyway, so the second night, 7 hours. I think it took us. And I played, so you played the first night, I played the second night, and watched each other play. So I feel like we both played twice.
Which is funny because we got mirror image endings. How many people can you save? 8? So I saved 6 people, and you saved...
I saved 2. The 2 people that died in your playthrough, I decided to save, and I killed everybody else. You gotta even the balance there. You gotta even the score out.
It's karma.
And that was, just for the record, in your playthrough, the 2 characters who did not live were Matt and Jessica.
Okay.
And in my playthrough, I made sure that they live.
So before we get any further, I just want to say that this isn't a spoiler-free talk through. We are going to get heavy into spoilers. So play the game, play it. I would recommend playing it. It's definitely worth money. I don't know about $60.
Oh my god, is it still $60?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, we got it at GameStop for we got it used at GameStop for like $55.
Oh gosh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, if it were 40,
yeah,
I'd be like totally on it.
40 or 45.
But like 60, I don't know, it's kind of too much. But that being said, it's a good game.
Yeah.
It's a really good game. I had fun. We played it twice. We like nonstop. That's got to say something about.
We've thought about. I've thought about anyway playing it again. So I think that says a lot. I've played a shit ton of games in my life, and there aren't that many actually that I've played over and over and over again. But this game is set up and designed so that you play it again. In fact, they smack it over your head a million times before you purchase it in the trailers. And not only this, but even after you purchase the fucking game and you have turned it on and you've hit start and you're ready to play, they knock it over your head. And that is what they call the butterfly effect. They do not want you to forget that and it's not every decision, folks. It is not every decision, but a lot of decisions you make, oh my god, they changed the game a little bit.
See,
boy, do they want you to know that.
At first, I thought it was hilarious. And then it was like, I thought it was unintentional. Like, they kept doing it, and they kept doing it. It was like the very first scene, and spoilers from here on out.
Yeah.
Very first scene is on, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just it's like a medium shot of a butterfly. And it looks like it's like dead, and you go on the wings, and they're like little veins, which I don't know if butterflies have veins on their
I have no
wing.
idea.
Anyway, it's like the choices that you make in the game will affect the playthrough, and like it will affect the fates of your characters. And butterfly effect, butterfly effect, butterfly. And they just, they smack you across the head with it. But then you get further into like chapter 1 after the prologue, and they're like, Chris, the nerdy kid.
Oh.
Boom. Butterfly effect.
Boom. Butterfly effect.
Like they mention it in the dog. The dog. That's the shorthand for dialogue from now on. They mention it in the dog.
In the dog. And
not only that, but the thing that I just remembered. You remember Hannah's tattoo?
Oh, you can't forget that. It's a butterfly.
The effect of which is felt throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and what's it like the flap of a butterfly can?
Oh yeah.
What was the exaggerated effect of the flap of a butterfly?
Hurricane.
Wing? Oh, right, a hurricane. Okay.
Yeah, that's a common are those called idioms or colloquialisms?
I don't. No, that's not. It's an idiom, I think. But whatever. It's stupid. It's stupid, and it's stupid, and it's
it doesn't
also,
really.
In case you didn't understand enough, it's stupid. Okay. Honestly, that was starting to, in the first playthrough, shape my opinion of the game because it was just like, it was like this hype that was set up for you to buy it. Like, look, you got all these choices you can make. And then only, you buy the game and then it does it again. And then you started to play the game that continues to do it. You have Chris talking to Sam on the trolley, I think, about the butterfly effect. Yep. You have the psychiatrist getting a little meta about the choices that you make and the effect of the choices.
A little.
Yeah, and then, of course, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they hit you over the head with it 1,000 times, which at the beginning I was kind of like, oh, wow, I was like you know, this is shaping up. But if it wasn't for the second half of the game, I would still feel like that.
Yeah.
I would still feel like, you know, if the game ended after the first twist, like, I'd be like, that was not a good game. It was simply not a good game. Mm-hmm. But because of what happened in the second half, like that kind of, for me, that redeemed almost everything. I still think it's pretty funny that they mentioned butterfly effect so many times, but and also nothing can redeem that fucking awful song.
Oh, damn. Okay, and I'm not, because, I mean, it's not like the person who wrote the song and then the lady who sang it is going to listen to this podcast. If this were private, if we're just me and you, because no one, it's just me and you right now, so I'm just say that song's fucking terrible. It's a joke.
Every time it came on, I cringed.
If it were in public, I'd be like, oh, well, you know, sometimes you can't write a good song. And
it came on the very beginning and very end.
Yeah, they kind of play it, well, the intro to the game is like a little split up, so they kind of play it twice. Well, they play it, and then there's like this break where you're playing you're on the Samazon is being transported to the lodge,
right?
And then they play it again, and then you start to play the game.
Oh, I don't remember that. I must have blocked it out of my memory. Because
I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do with that song. I almost feel like they were trying to give it, because, folks, there's some Native Americans in this game.
A little bit.
They're not in the game. It's just that we all know that Native Americans are scary, and they do weird voodoo-ish witchcraft stuff that have heavy consequences for white people. So that plays a role into this game.
I mean, that's why I was scared as a white male. I was terrified. Like, as soon as I picked up a totem, I'm like, is this Indian? Is this a burial ground? I'm out.
Yeah. So it almost seems like they were trying to give it a little bit of a native kind of vibe to that song. I'm not really sure, but it fails. It's just bad. There's nothing really, the song has nothing to do. I think there's one particular line where it says like something another year or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's hard for me to
death
remember anything except the death.
So
death. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I need to bring it up because the game and then the song, they're like, one is over here and the other is over there. They don't mesh well at all. It's so weird. I feel like that song
the other
is supposed to be like at the beginning of some sort of weird kind of crappy 80s horror movie.
Which, I mean, that's kind of thematically consistent. But regardless, that, you know, some things, even if it's an homage, some things are just plain old terrible. And that song is plain old terrible. Anyway, we've talked for like 10 minutes about the shitty fucking song. So let's move on to the crux of the thing. So the basic idea of Until Dawn is really a pretty game that has choices that affect whether characters will live until dawn or not. And at the very beginning of the game, you're sort of, it feels like any other sort of teen slasher movie, and that's really what it is. It's just this crazy romp of all these kids doing stupid shit, and you just, you know, you either watch them all die, you watch some of them die, or you watch none of them die. And the thing that I love the most about the game really is the turn, the second twist. Well, I call it the second twist. Really, in the game, I see two major twists. First, the twist with Josh, where throughout the beginning of the game, it's sort of like a whodunit. I'm trying to, like a Scream type scenario.
Yeah.
Where
Heavy
it's
Extreme
like,
vibes for sure.
Yeah, and where it's like, who's the killer? Who's the psycho? They call it the psycho in the game.
Well, it even steers you off path because, you know, there's one opportunity where you flip over a postcard and the psycho, and that's his name until he's revealed to be, you know,
Josh.
Where he says that he wanted to have Hannah and her sister, I can't remember her name.
Yep.
But they took her, you know, so it even sets up a why. So not only do you want to know who this guy is, but more importantly, you want to know why he's
taken an interest.
Though I guess the postcard actually answers it because they took, but it's like, why did he have an interest in Hannah and her sister? I can't remember her sister's name for the life of me.
Hannah and, oh man, was it like Emma? No,
I feel like it starts with a C and I'm not remembering it, but
you can look it up. Her name is Beth.
Yeah.
Oh, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
Because
good song.
It rhymes with death.
Yep.
You get it. Okay, so what were we talking about? We stopped to look her name up, so now we're confused.
We should have just kept going with Hannah's sister.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? I don't remember.
Oh, why the psycho was interested in Hannah
and Beth. Yeah.
And don't blame us for forgetting the names of some of these characters, because there are a shit ton.
There's a lot of characters in this interactive movie. And so it's kind of hard to... I mean, the fact that I can even remember all of them except for Hannah's sister.
Yeah,
Hannah has more of an impact than her sister's at the beginning of the game and then dies.
Hannah definitely has more of an impact.
Hannah is still, at this point, if you haven't played the game, this is, I think, feel like the last time that you should just go and play it.
We've already spoiled everything.
But
this
Hannah's
is a spoiler warning after.
is like still in the game.
Yeah.
So that was the first, you talk about plot twist. That would be the first plot.
The first plot twist is Josh is revealed to be the quote unquote psycho.
The psycho.
And everything that he had done up until that, everything that the kids have gone through, except for a few things, had been perpetrated by Josh to get back at the original 8 kids. I think it's 8 kids. It might be 7.
I think it's 6.
Might be 6. I don't know. You're right.
The original kids.
Okay. Who, in the prologue, pulled a fucking shitty trick.
It's a really shitty...
Like, those aren't friends. Those are...
No.
They were recording that shit? So what happens is Hannah is basically like... Hannah has a crush on Mike. And so the group get an idea to trick Hannah into coming into... Though
it seems more like Jessica's idea, and they all just kind of go, oh, yeah, that's funny. I get the vibe that's Jessica's idea.
Was it Jessica's? Or was it...
Well, simply because Jessica says something like she just wants to kind of speed it up. I can't remember exactly what she says, but...
Oh, yeah.
Because someone says to her, and it might be Emily, I can't believe you're doing this, and then Jessica explains why she's doing it. And I think it's interesting that Jessica and Mike end up together a year later.
Which is,
it almost seems like she had her motives.
Yeah, because Emily and Mike were an item at that time. And basically, I think Emily was viewing Hannah as a threat.
Emily and Mike I don't think they were together at that time.
No, they were totally together. Remember? And that's why they got together after. And after everything happened when... because Emily was with Matt.
Okay, that makes this actually more disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I
knew that.
They built Emily to be terrible.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? She's very... Well, yeah, she's not a very kind person, but... oh my gosh, Mike was then with like 3... women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God,
Mike is a fucking player in this shit.
That is so weird to me. And
also, did you know that the kids in this are aged 16 to 18?
Yeah, I knew that.
You knew that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was kind of a shock to me because I was like, the fuck? Like,
no, yeah, it's still but yeah.
I mean, it's realistic, I guess. You know, teenagers doing.
Teenagers doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
We all did it. Yeah, we were there.
But, so... Is that a dog?
No. Keep going.
Is that a Wendigo? A Wendigo?
A Wendigo. Trivago. Our sponsor, one of our sponsors is Trivago. We'll get to them in a minute.
A Wendigo. A Wendido.
If you're going on a vacation, ride on a Wendigo. at Trivago. Okay, cut that. Or leave it in, cause whatever, I don't care.
So,
bad joke.
So the prank is that all these kids are going to hide and videotape. That's a Wendigo. So, but while we're recording this, it's actually currently. Is it blizzard now? Is it blizzard time?
There's already 4 feet of snow outside, and so we decided, since we can't leave our apartment, that we're just going to do a podcast on Until Dawn. We can't.
4 feet of snow?
Yeah, there's 4 feet of snow out there already.
Oh, okay, you're joking.
No, it's 4 feet. I'm being serious.
Yeah, we're being serious.
Yeah.
4 feet.
There's 4 feet.
Oh, it's 12 feet now. Oh.
Listen, there's a lot of snow out there, and if you go out there, you're going to slide to your death. So, perfect opportunity to do a horror podcast.
I agree. Especially
because
when Until Dawn.
Exactly.
It's snowing.
Exactly.
And
there was snow in the hill. Yep.
And they couldn't get to the kids because of blizzard.
Exactly.
So yeah, back on topic. Emily and Emily and Jessica devise a shitty fucking trick to get Hannah.
Interesting that both did Mike. Go on, sorry.
To get Hannah to go and flirt with Mike. Was it Mike? Yeah, it's Mike. Matt's the other guy.
Yeah, Matt pops out actually recording it.
Yeah. Which is like...
I didn't notice that to my second playthrough.
Yeah, I noticed it on the first playthrough, and now you really liked Matt. And I was like, dude, that fucker was recording the whole thing.
I knew someone was recording it, but I didn't notice that it was Matt.
He's a fucking dick. Like, it's one thing to play a prank on someone. It's another one to fucking document it.
Well...
And then, what were they going to do? Fucking upload that shit to YouTube?
No, I agree. Well, I think they're all... Shit, it was all... but let's, you know what?
Only redeemable
let's be honest, though.
Only redeemable one, Sam.
Mike has it worse. Mike knows that this girl is crushing gets...
Oh, man.
And then, okay, and you're telling me that he was apparently with Emily at the time, and Hannah is undoing her shirt. Yep. Oh my god. So, I mean...
And who knows how far it would have gone unless fucking... Who is it? Jessica? Who, like, said, like, oh my god, she's actually taking off...
Yeah, it was like someone under the bed... I thought it was Emily that was laughing.
It might have
doesn't. These girls...
Yeah, they're...
It doesn't matter. It's a really shitty prank. It was a shitty prank. It reminds me. We watched a horror movie. I don't know if you call it horror. With the teenagers. This was like a couple months ago. The teenagers who I guess they played a prank. They uploaded a video of their friend.
Oh,
she got
that one,
that nasty one, and then the friend comes back and unfriended.
Yeah, that one was actually surprisingly...
I thought it was going to be shitty, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was not a shitty movie.
I mean, yeah, we won't... No spoilers for that. Well, spoilers for Until Dawn. This is a no-spoiler warning.
Yep.
But, that one was very interesting. It's basically all shot, like, on the person's laptop. And I think they're on like a Mac or something.
It doesn't matter, but basically, it's just that it just reminded me of that movie because it's all these a bunch of your so-called friends pulled a nasty prank on you, and then
It's like I can understand like pranks, like putting fucking like something in your shower that makes the water like soupy or something, or like I don't know, switching out your fucking. There are some pranks that are just. That go way over the line, and this is one of them. And lo and behold, it causes Hannah to get so embarrassed that she runs out into the blizzard or into the snow. I don't know if it was snowing, but I don't know, it's a mountain. And so she runs out, and so her sister runs out with her, Beth, and they run out, and turns out they both die because they were getting chased by something. And at the time, we assume that it's the psycho. But then the psycho shows up and he's like wearing a mask, and it's like, is that the psycho? He's wearing a different mask, and so there are all these little inconsistencies, but you're always sort of led to believe that it's one dude. And I don't know if you remember.
I don't know. I realized pretty early on that there
were multiple.
Yeah, simply because in one of these shots when Josh and Chris are about to open the door or trying to open a door. It's when this is after prologue, when they all get to the lodge. The third dude shows up, same fucking shot with the sword in his hand or the machete in his hand.
Yep.
And then at that point, I realized, that was on my second playthrough, but I don't know. I just got the vibe that there was a psycho and then there was someone else, but I didn't really pay much attention to that other person.
Yeah. I mean,
you're right. They do give the vibe, though, that the psycho is the dude.
And it was very weird when Hannah and Beth are trapped on the cliff and they're sort of hanging on for dear life. And the dude sort of reaches down and, like, reaches at his hand. And from that point, I was like, oh, that's odd. That doesn't seem right. So I was like, it didn't seem along the lines, like, why would he help them if he wanted to kill them, which is what the psychos...
Yeah.
Like, he's the stranger. Mm-hmm. And the psycho is the one who, after everyone comes back to the mountain after the year anniversary, I think, of their disappearance, not death, because they don't know where they went. They fell down the cliff, and we see what happens. They just smash into the fucking ground, and then they look dead.
They both look pretty dead.
Which made it surprising that Hannah apparently survived.
Yeah, they go out of their way to make Hannah look dead. She's on the ground, not moving. Her eyes are open.
Yeah. It's like, you don't get knocked out like that.
Yeah, so they went out of their way to try to trick you, and it did come as a bit of a surprise to me to find out that Hannah had been down there for a while. It's just that she looks... I would have rather them had made it a little vague,
like, keep
and then
her
just
eyes
been
closed.
like, "Oh yeah, they're missing."
All that needed to happen was just to have her eyes closed.
Yeah.
Like, it could be assumed that at least that way it's vague. Like, you can have your eyes closed and be asleep or dead, and that, or at least even better idea: show the back of her head. Like, don't show her face, don't show her eyes. Make it so that there are little things that you notice the next time that you play through, like maybe a puff of breath. Because it's cold, you're going to see their breath. Maybe that would hint to a player that, like, oh, she's still alive, and you wouldn't only catch that until later when you realize. But or maybe you would catch on. Anyways, speaking of catching,
they pulled a Glenn.
A Glenn. Oh, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no one's going to get that.
Really?
Well, maybe they will.
Y'all don't watch Walking Dead?
If you all don't watch Walking Dead,
it's
good
only
for
like
you.
the #1 rated best of all time TV horror zombie show ever. Rated in the world.
Shoot me in the face.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Kill me with one of your Wendigo girls.
That's nice.
But, so, what happens is, I don't know how much we need to go into this, but essentially, the first twist is the one that I called out, like, what was that, chapter 1? Or, like, chapter 2? I was like, I know what's going on. I know what happened.
Well, I was convinced, you weren't at first, I was convinced that it was Josh.
Oh, yeah.
He just gave me that vibe, but I started to change my mind when you get to a scene where Chris has to decide between saving Josh and Ashley. Mm-hmm. And Josh dies. And then I start to change my mind, but you actually were very adamant that it was still Josh and that he was faking his death, and you were right. I thought that was a possibility, but I was very open to the idea that, okay, maybe it's no longer... Like, maybe Josh is out, maybe it's not him.
And the reason why I got that, I figured it out, and in the scene, Josh gets sawed in half by a saw blade, and the reason why it was kind of... We didn't really know, because I chose to kill Josh, because, one, I didn't really like him as much as Ashley, or at least I didn't think Chris liked him as much as Ashley, because they definitely set up their relationship from the get-go, and they seemed nice together. They seemed like they cared about each other, at least at that point. Shit gets weird later, but it wasn't until your playthrough that we realized that, like, oh, even if you choose to kill Ashley, the track malfunctions and kills Josh regardless. If we had known that going in, of course we would have been like, oh. But when I saw when I saw Josh get sawed in half, I remembered these old. I used to be big into figuring out how magicians do their magic tricks, and one of them is the taking the girl apart in the box thing. And there was another one that was very similar to it, where it looks like they're separated while they're like hanging upside down, and that was almost the exact same magic trick. And I was like, that has to be it, it would be Josh, and they could do that little trick. And the reason why I thought that is because all throughout the house, the cabin, the main cabin, not the secondary cabin, the fuck cabin, the main cabin, there are little clues that hint that the reason why Josh's family has this this mansion, it's huge. That has to be a mansion. Like, it's a huge freaking house on top of this ski lodge, basically. And the reason why they have all this wealth is because their father, Josh's father, Hannah's father, Beth's father, is a movie buff, and he's into movie effects, and he won an award for one of his movies. And so he's got a whole bunch of, and then it's set up later when Chris plays the prank on Josh and Sam, where he dresses up in the movie stuff, and he specifically mentions like, oh, there's all sorts of movie paraphernalia laying around. How was I not supposed to, trick you guys? Which is great, because if you watch that scene again after like all the stuff that happens with Josh, you can see how like Josh is like, he's kind of not all there, and up until that point he was playing a role.
Yeah, and then when the role takes a turn that he didn't expect, he actually looks for a second legitimately
scared and
concerned at the very least about what's happening. So, and
he was denying it at first because there were obvious noises coming from like the banging, and Josh is like, that can't happen, that's not supposed to happen. He's like very like, the actors do a really good job in this game. I almost said movie because it is kind of a playable movie, but that's a strength. I think that's a strength that the game plays to. Now, I called that one. I don't think anyone could call what the fuck happened after that, which is what makes the game so fucking good. Is you think you know everything, you think you've got the main twist figured out, and then the game like fucking turns everything on its head. And all of a sudden there are fucking Wendigos. There are fucking monsters coming out, fucking attacking kids, ripping their heads off, stabbing them in the gut.
I didn't know like for a fact, but I figured pretty early on. I was convinced that there were two things going on. You had a killer, and then you had a supernatural element that was killing people. That seemed obvious to me from the beginning, so I wasn't surprised.
Did you think the ghosts were real?
You know what? I did. And so I thought that Hannah was kind of warning. For a minute, I thought that Hannah was warning the other kids about the sister or something else evil that was there. For it to be an actual Wendigo was a bit of a twist for me, but I wasn't that surprised because I knew there was a supernatural element, though I was thrown off a bit because I think it's great that the characters are thrown off, and you were thrown off, at least I was, when you see Hannah, or you think you see Hannah. You're convinced now. He's not only tricking, his friends, he's tricking you. I don't know, I just thought it was like, I thought it was well done. I fell for it anyway.
I didn't. I knew it was a trick because I knew that they were like, they already did the fake out with killing Josh. So it's like, of course they've got like,
but we didn't know,
and like on a track, and then they were hinting to us like the light bulbs. Like we found the book, the order like of the circled light bulb that was like the industrial.
Yeah, that's when it started to.
Yeah, and then we found the switch with TV and lights, and I was like, okay. I like the stories where everything turns out to be have a practical solution to it, and usually when things take a supernatural route, I get kind of disinterested. I like it when things are are realistic, I like realism and stuff, even if it's like a little dash of supernatural stuff. Like that's why I like zombie stuff, because it's just a little dash of supernatural nonsense. But then if you play everything else realistically, it's really neat. It's one of the reasons why I like The Last of Us so much. But we'll talk about that, or never. I mean, we already did one on that, so we don't have to worry about that. But no, it wasn't a surprise that they took a supernatural route, but it was a surprise that they went so specific with Wendigos. Like, had you heard about Wendigos before Until Dawn?
Yeah.
What did you know about them?
Not much. And
just that was a word.
Well, I mean, you play games and they're in there.
What games are you playing that have Wendigos in them?
World of Warcraft, bro! Everything! The writers of World of Warcraft have taken everything. Listen, in we're not talking about World of Warcraft, but just so that you know that I already, they are frozen, like, furry beasts that, like, they have, like, claws and they kill you. But even then, like, I don't know. I knew about Wendigos before. It seemed like a common kind of thing. They look different, and they stylized them different for this game. Oh, definitely,
but, yeah. No fur. There are a few weird things.
They're not like a commonly used supernatural element.
No, and that's why it was,
the game
like, nice.
used something. Yeah, it was different.
It would have been different if they had used, like, Yetis, or, like, a werewolf, or, like, zombies. But it's interesting that a game so focused on, like, expressing pop culture, like, or, like, what are you doing? She's reaching for my phone. She's pulling my phone. Well,
it's funny because you said Yeti, and I'm like, wait a minute, Yeti are in World of Warcraft too.
Well, yeah, Yetis are in World of Warcraft.
But now I'm thinking, like, wait a minute, am I confusing the Yeti?
It might be confusing
with
the Yeti with a Wendigo.
Now I have to
I'm sure that they have, like, they were probably just going on fucking synonym finder and like, what's a synonym for Bigfoot?
Definitely.
And yes. Wendigo probably popped up, even though I don't think canonic, like, I don't know what the canon is in this, like, in real life canon is for Wendigo. You'd have to look it up.
Okay.
But
they're large furry humanoids. And they go around rampaging and killing people.
Yeah. But, in a game so focused on, like, tropes, popular tropes in horror films and teen slashers and all that good stuff, it was refreshing to not see something reused, like, zombies or anything like that they went specifically for a Wendigo and then kind of messed with the lore of a Wendigo and had these really interesting little tidbits. Like, they had kind of a it reminded me of, it was that movie that you get for getting all of the clues when it, like, kind of talks to you, and then there was the extra thing in the video, the bonus video content where we were watching, like, the actors and all that stuff, and they had an extra one on Wendigos. And all that stuff reminded me of, like, what's that channel? Like, not History Channel, but, like, National Geographic or something? No, not National Geographic.
Sounds very History Channel.
History Channel. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably History Channel. Yeah. The one, they always have the fucking Bigfoot. Discovery.
Investigation Discovery. Yeah,
they always have those fucking Bigfoot specials and shit, and, like, aliens, real or no?
I think probably. Well, yeah, History Channel.
Hitler,
definitely.
Real or no? I should do one on Hitler aliens. Sorry. We might have an ad for that sometime later. But yeah, it was just refreshing. I liked it. It came out of, for me, the actual look and the sound of them and the lore behind them, just it hit home, and I really liked it. Really liked it. I went home.
Do Wendigos have a part in your past that I'm not aware of? It hit home for you? What happened?
I'm a Wendigo.
No! So basically, you had to eat someone. You were stuck in a position where you were starving and you had to eat. person, and now you have a Wendigo.
Yeah, I ate my arm.
That doesn't count. Wait a minute. Let's say you were Hannah. You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna go bury my sister.
Okay, so what happens is Hannah...
Stop talking.
Okay.
Let's say you're Hannah. You bury your sister. She's dead. Whatever. That's what she gets for letting you go if you decide to do that route. Or it's what she gets for not doing CrossFit and having enough upper body strength to haul your ass up there and to save you both. Regardless, your sister's a bitch. So she's dead. You bury her. She's dead. And then you go, now I'm going to honor my sister. I'm not going to eat her. I'm going to eat myself. If you eat yourself, what happens?
I don't know.
Do you get the Wendigo spirit? I don't know. I don't think you should. I'm just saying. I'm saying to whoever decided to come up with this curse, because it's just like, whatever.
The spirits,
I feel like
Indian spirits.
If you eat yourself, then you're saying, if you have the option to eat your family or yourself, I'm not going to eat y'all. I love you. Okay.
Again, don't have to hit me.
Sorry. It's just, we're talking about horror. Anyway, I'm going to eat myself. I want to know what happens.
I just love the idea of someone going up to the mountain, like biting their lip, and then all of a sudden turning into a Wendigo. Like,
you have to consciously. I feel like you have to bite your lip and then eat it. You got to be like, oh, I bit my lip, and then your friend's like, oh man, that's messed up. How'd you do that? And be like, I don't know, I tripped, and then you swallow it. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, where to go? Because what, yeah.
Yeah, what constitutes, like, eating? Is it eating someone else? Is it, like, if it's eating someone else, then, you know what, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Anyways.
It's a great rabbit hole, in my opinion.
So, Until Dawn, pretty damn good. Most of the stuff in it after the second twist is just straight up Crazyville. I love a lot of it. The downfalls of the game were really, for me, the controls. I have no problem with the QuickTime events. I love the idea of the totems forewarning you about shit that will happen, because that helped me out in a few instances where you'd have to play through a bunch of times in order to really get, and it would have been frustrating to not know, like, oh, what's this? What happens when I do this? And the totems do a good job of like hinting at what maybe you want to happen, at least on your first playthrough. But the controls, man, like running in the game is not running. It's not even power walking.
Yeah, you just walk kind of
walking
fast.
At a regular pace. And then the regular walking in the game is just...
Yeah, you have like casual walking.
Slower walk.
And then you have like walking. Yeah. And
you're fluctuating.
I mean, let's be honest here, and this is why I call it like an interactive movie, and that's not a good or bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. Anytime that your character does run, you are not controlling your character. The game is setting your character down a path, and then you have the ability to hit QuickTime events or make a decision by using your analog stick.
I think there was a point when we were playing where I was like, was this made by the Order guys? The Order 1886 or whatever the name of that game was? Because they had a similar...
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, that makes me wonder, like...
And look at the Order, very short game, the Order, didn't you beat that Order in like 8 hours, something like that? It was very small.
It didn't take much time, no.
And also slightly disappointing, actually, game, but yeah, that seemed... I mean, of course you do more in the Order because you shoot.
Yeah.
You do a little bit of aiming here, oh boy. But
you do aiming in Until Dawn, but it's attached to a QuickTime event.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was solid. It was a solid experience. The graphics were very nice. I don't think I lost track of the amount of times that I turned to you and said, these graphics are really nice. Except
for there were some weird bits. Well, the graphics seemed very on par for what we should be playing. I guess that's how it felt like for me. But what I was very impressed
you have really high expectations about graphics.
I don't think I have high expectations.
I think you do.
It's 2016. It's beginning of 2016. This is... I don't,
the year of our Lord 2016.
The year of our Lord 2016. what I was impressed by was the I'm not even really sure what you call it, but the movement with the characters, the way that it looked, it felt and looked almost real.
Oh yeah,
and that was capture. Impressive. It definitely has a movie vibe.
The motion capture is really, really nice.
There was some repetitive movement, like idle movements that they did that were really weird. In fact, there's one that I don't think anyone's really going to catch, but it throws me off. But it's at the end of the game where you're running up the stairs, and that's when like all three, I think, Wendigo are in the lodge. And you have on the left side, you have Chris, Emily, and Ashley, and they're not moving.
Right.
They're supposed to look frightened, but they're actually in their idle animation.
Yeah.
So during the first playthrough, I was like, what the fuck is going on? As Sam runs up the stairs and you see, they're standing really quote unquote still because there's Wendigo in the lodge, but there's just like an idle. There was definitely some repetitious like movements or quirks or whatever that the characters had that they use like repeatedly, but that is what impressed me most, though. The VO was good. Of course it was. You had actual real actors. Yeah.
The dude who played Josh. Yeah, I've seen him somewhere.
Yeah,
before.
he's been in the Night at the Museum. I think he was in the second one.
Oh.
He's been in quite a few other movies, and you have Hayden. Is it Panettiere? I can't do her last name, but she's been in like a soap opera, and she's been in a bunch of movies, and she was in the latest Scream movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
She's been in, and I think she's doing a show called Nashville or something, whatever. So I mean, you had actors. They came in and they did a great job.
So the other thing that the game does really well is I think it did the gore graphics pretty damn well. It was one of those. I have an issue when it comes to like some games that just like to use blood as like backdrop, but in this game, especially in the latter parts of it, the blood on the snow kind of letting you know where characters are. Blood is used like. It's not out of context. It's like there is a context for it. At the beginning, it's not. It's there purely, and you can actually find the can of red paint that Josh uses. But there it's sort of, it's like that's the stereotypical way that most games and movies use blood. Like they use it to write messages, be creepy, just have it there for no reason. Yeah,
it's just there, and there doesn't seem to be any.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's, at the end of the game, when there's actually, like, people are getting bloodied, there's, like, blood on the snow letting you know where to go. There's blood used as warnings. You remember when we were watching, to prep for this, we were watching YouTube videos of the various deaths, and there's a really funny way to kill Chris if you, in the sewer... I guess it's a sewer, like the underground tunnel.
Yeah, it's the tunnel between that goes from the lodge to the sanatorium.
Yeah. Which, why the fuck is that there?
Yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about, because they don't really...
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But, there's a part where when Ashley separates from the group to sort of write messages for Chris to go to find them. And after that, she gets separated from the group, and then she can like go over and hear... a voice, which it's learned, which makes it so much more infuriating because Ashley knows this. She was the one who read the fucking book. We played Ashley as we were reading The Stranger's book. And in the book, it specifically says that the Wendigo can what did it say specifically?
Mimic their prey.
Yeah, it could like... and that was kind of vague. Like that made me think like maybe they could transform into people, which is then like that brings it to like a John Carpenter The Thing level. But no, it was just they could mimic people's voices, and so you hear I think it's Jessica as Ashley, and so Ashley has the option to go and check on Jessica
or check out the sound. Yeah,
and so she goes over to this hatch, opens it, and gets her head ripped off. And then as Chris, you can go back to that same scene that just happened, even though there's blood all over the fucking place. And if you decide to open the hatch with the blood leading into the fucking hatch, guess what? You're gonna die.
And it just seems like, for the record, that even if you go down that path, it looks like you can actually... I don't really know, but it looks like you can keep going.
I'm sure you can. Yeah, there's a way.
So you can just totally just,
as
even
Ashley,
if you go down that path, you can just completely avoid the hatch and just like...
As Ashley, you can avoid it entirely. You just walk past it. And as Chris, it doesn't make as much sense because with Ashley, she has to unlock the latch in order for the Wendigo to get out. But as Chris, the Wendigo should already be there.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's actually how he dies. You think that it's going to be in the hatch, but when you close it, the Wendigo's right behind.
That's interesting. So I wonder what would happen then is if you...
I think you die regardless if you go down there.
If you're Chris... Yeah, I'd like to see, because you remember in my playthrough, I walked past the hatch at first.
Yeah.
But then I decided to go back because I don't know, I thought that I would die later if I kept walking the tunnel, that I would die. I didn't think the hatch, stupid me, because it was shaking, You
were also playing the specifically kill those characters.
Yes, I was. So. My aim in my playthrough was to kill the character, so it didn't really matter to me. But I do wonder if you played Chris and you walk past, you
probably get jumped.
If you do get jumped or not, or that would be interesting. So that's where I think the butterfly effect comes in, because it's more like there's different ways they can die. Yeah. That seems to be the effect, is that they have, numerous, well, sorta, more like a couple per character, different types of death that, can happen.
I wish that one of the few things that I think that the game should have done was, and this is a thing that I don't think a lot of games really do right, is they don't get choices really well. They don't provide enough information as to what your choices are going to lead to, so sometimes it can be frustrating when you try to do something and it completely goes, down, they just railroad you into doing whatever they want. An example of this would be the choice to kill Ashley or Josh, since there is no choice there, but that's more plot related. Another one would be the stranger's death. Like, I started, and Until Dawn tries to do this thing where it autosaves after every choice you make, but you can kind of get around that by simply just holding the PlayStation button and quitting the game or turning off the PlayStation. Yeah. And then you just resume to where you were. But this is what I did to try and save this stranger, because I liked him, even though he's clearly a fucking Gary Sue.
Oh my gosh, yes, he's modeled like straight up. But
one of the writers is the model.
The actor who plays Josh, the actress who plays Sam, and the actor who plays Mike, are also it's straight up like a one-on-one. So much so that when you play the game, you go, oh, that's Hayden.
Yeah,
and yeah. But I mean I guess that was the more funny one because they're actors.
Right.
He was, I think, one of the writers.
Yeah.
Or one of the dudes who owned the studio that came up with the
I think
story.
It was a writer. But,
so that was interesting.
Yeah, that was funny. I've seen that one other time.
They even modeled his teeth.
Yeah. Oh, his teeth. Oh, yeah. Man. The point that I'm trying to make is that the choice about whether you move or whether you don't move at that point when the stranger gets killed, because the stranger is telling you, telling you as in Chris, to chill and just be quiet. Mm-hmm. And I fucked up the first time because that's another thing that's really frustrating, is the motion control, the stay still thing. It's not actually stay still.
Yeah, you have to keep it within the boundary.
You have to center it and then not move. See, I wish they told me that because I failed a few of those because I don't play with my fucking PlayStation 4 controller like perfectly leveled and just pointed straight at the fucking TV. I play it kind of like, pointed up like, a normal fucking human being. And I don't have this unnatural hand stance where I just have my hands extended and like playing like a weirdo. But yeah, that messed me up because I was holding, it said stay still, but I was out of the boundary as soon as it started. And so as soon as it started, I was failing. And then they said, don't move. And so I wasn't moving, but I was out of the boundary, so it failed me. So that was frustrating. I wish they didn't do that. Like if you say stay still, then make it so that, wherever it is, if you move out of, like have the boundary box dependent on where your controller is at the time of the action at the instigation of the QTE. But, Yeah, I failed it the first time, and so I thought that meant that I could save the stranger by not moving. And so I reloaded it and didn't move, and yeah, he dies regardless. He just gets his head cut off. And, I mean, it's kind of funny because, he's a writer, so he probably wanted himself to die and not be in there for too long. But yeah, he's also a really overpowered character. Oh, and by the way, if someone, oh yeah, he got straight up fucking murdered. Like, what? You're not very good at this. But.
Well, I think that's the point, is that he was totally fine.
But when the kids came along,
he got fucked. Long as he was solo, he was great. I mean, how many Wendigos that were in that cell? There's like 4.
Yeah, and he killed the big bad one. I forget the name of it, but it was the one that possessed Hannah, like Quetzalcoatl or something. Well, I forget the name of it.
Wow,
it started with an M, I think. But yeah, it was Ifrit. It's the Wendigo spirit. But yeah, he killed that thing. He saved those girls from the Wendigo. It didn't save them from gravity. But yeah, like, he was doing great until these stupid kids. I would be alive if it weren't for you, stupid kids. Anyway, but yeah, like, that's an important point. But also, when someone with a lot of experience with something tells you to do something, you should probably do it. And when that person says, don't move, don't leave this fucking area, stay in the house, like, lock yourselves in this, like, why on God's green earth, why on God's green ones and zeros would you do that? Why
to like, push the plot.
Yeah, to push the plot, yeah. That's part of the reason why I have you on the podcast, because it's like, Rachel's a writer. And so she is very familiar with these, the way that things are supposed to be structured and the standards that not all of us would be honed in on.
Sure.
But yeah.
That's me.
That's you. Mm-hmm. Again, don't have to.
Sorry. Horror does it to me every time, man. I gotta punch. Horror, not.
Yeah, you kind of said horror.
Nope. I'm nope. Just horror.
So, yeah, the some of those. I wish the game had more impact on the relationships between the characters instead of just the various ways that they can die.
Where was the love? Where was the smooches and the kissing? No one had sex. I didn't see anyone have sex.
Oh, and can we talk about how all of these kids are not dressed appropriately for, like, blizzard weather?
They're dressed like teenagers. And I mean, I guess you have Jessica. She's wearing a coat. And Emily's
Sam does
kind of wearing a coat.
Sam does wear some really warm-looking jogging clothes.
The men seem more properly dressed for sure than the girls do.
Yeah, Jessica had like her midriff showing.
Me and Cole don't mix. I'll be sporting a scarf, gloves, a heavy coat. I'm not going there for my looks. I'm going there to keep warm. But it's teenagers, man. It's teenagers.
All right. So, is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Probably.
Talk about?
Probably. We're probably going to have to come back. We're probably going to have to come back. I don't, because you said something about how you wish that the game gave you more, like, I guess, indication of your choices. I can't remember exactly how you word it. I don't have a problem with that. I guess, for me, the impact of my choices don't really, whatever decision I come across, I'm going for it. I have a tendency not to reload. I just don't care unless it's like, I definitely made a mistake. For instance, when the stranger comes and because I too thought, if there's a way to prevent his death. And then you find out that there isn't. But other than that, it's just like, well, if my character dies, whatever, screw it. I don't know. I think I got the vibe from the game that they don't want you to know what's coming. They don't want you to know what's going to happen. Just want you to keep playing. And that's why they're just like, you gotta be careful. You gotta think about your choices, even though you have a timer on some of these. So,
So, what are your final thoughts on Until Dawn?
You go first.
Me first? Okay. I'd recommend it. My final thoughts would be that It's an interesting game that tries to cram in as many horror tropes as it possibly can, and normally that would come off like corny and forced or just schlocky, but it works for some reason. I don't know why.
I remember at the beginning of the game when you were playing it, I was in the kitchen and I was getting a glimpse of the game, and I remember asking you if this was supposed to be like a satire. It gave off that like 90s teen horror movie vibe for me, but then I think the reason why it works is because you figure out the reason why it does, and that's because there is a child or a teenager who is devising to scare his friends, and his father was part of a movie production company, I think. So that's why it works, because then they go, okay, well, we're done with that. Now we're on to the real horror, sort of the supernatural element, the Wendigo,
and all those goddamn jump scares.
Oh, yeah,
I'm glad Josh dies regardless of what you do, because that motherfucker needs to pay for those cheap-ass jump scares.
Not only that, but, even there are jump scares in the game that the characters don't make sense. That are for you. There's one at the beginning where you're with Mike and Jessica, and she says, "Oh, look through the binoculars." There's someone at the cabin. You look, and then there's what I'm assuming is a Wendigo. I can't honestly remember. It scared the fucking shit out of me. It has no purpose. There's no purpose. I don't even remember if Mike even comments on it. He just seems to walk away.
No, they don't.
There's a couple of
scares
others.
Are just for the player, not the kids.
There's one, I guess, with Josh, where you're with that Josh does with Josh and Ashley, where you open the door, and you remember how I was closing my eyes and I was like, I'm not gonna look. Mm-hmm. They wait. They waited for people like me who know that it's coming, and then you open your eyes and you're like, oh, I guess it's not coming. I guess, whatever. They fooled me. Ha ha. Boom. There it is. Mm-hmm. And it's for you. It's not for the characters. It's for you, because the characters just go, oh, did you see that? And then Josh is like, oh, I don't know. It's like, okay, if that appeared in front of my face, like it should have appeared in front of Ashley's face, I would have went screaming, running away, tripped, died, whatever. But they just keep on moving. I thought those were cheap. They were cheap as fuck. There's a few more that I can't remember. And if I were to give this a score, I would dock a whole damn point for that, because it wasn't needed. Had nothing to do with the plot, nothing to do with the story. It was just to scare you. Oh, and then of course you have the psychiatrist who asks you these questions that they don't, there's no, what's the phrase? Butterfly effect. When he asks you these questions, it's like, oh, what scares you more, like a scarecrow or a fucking, a clown? And then you're in the office, and then there's just like a dude hanging at the window, and he's like, a scarecrow or or whatever. It's really like that's kind of stupid in my opinion.
Especially when they limit it like that, like, oh, people are only scared by clowns or scarecrows or crows, just regular crows. Don't have to put scare in it. But yeah, that was silly. But, considering where it went, I think that he was really, that was part of Josh's mind that was just trying to delve into his psyche as to what he thought would be scarier.
Yes, but it had a double use in that it was supposed to freak you out as a player. And and that's what matters, because this is, after all, there's a game in this game. We're playing this game.
Right.
And so, this is Josh's psyche that we're in for a little bit. We're also playing this game, and this had no effect on me. It was stupid.
Right. It was... Whenever you ask a player, like Silent Hill Shattered Memories did this a lot, where it was just like, sort of prompting the player and poking them and being like, what scares you? Whenever you do that, it's like, if you don't know, then it's not going to be scary. It's not... Especially when you set it up, it's like, oh, are you afraid of scarecrows? Well, now I know that you want to do something with scarecrows. It's like, it just doesn't work. Although I will say, the final Josh crazy like sort of reveal that he's like sort of mentally not all there. The sort of unraveling that he goes through at the end when Wendigo Hannah drops him off, and that scene was, I think it was done really, really well. The animation for the pig was like spot on. It was just the right type of creepy. It's one of those, usually when you get horror games, you usually have like a character like, oh, I think I'm insane. I'm going to like look at I can see this stuff that no one else can. I'm freaking out, those types of scenes where it's like, oh, there's some crazy shit going on. I haven't seen one that was this good in a very long time. And I'll give it props for that. It's like, it was good. It was good. It was solid. It was freaky. It was the part where you'd think it would be dumb for one of the characters to just rip off their face. And I did laugh when it happened, but then after, it's like the graphics are so good that like it was legitimately like fucking creepy. Oh, and that's another thing, the teeth in the game.
Oh gosh.
What the fuck?
Oh.
They're all like, I think they thought that teeth are just naturally all wet all the time, and that's why they were like really pristine a lot of the time.
I don't know.
Just,
For me,
weird.
Teeth are like one thing that like
constantly get caught in the uncanny valley.
Yeah, they just don't. And for me, it wasn't the shiny factor. It was just their shape in the mouth. It was. Yeah, there's one particular part where they first introduced. I think it's Chris, and he just has this weird, odd, fucking creepy smile, and it's it's the teeth. The teeth haven't been nailed yet.
No.
When it comes to like creating like realistic, like in video games, like the teeth still need work, but it's teeth. I don't know.
But yeah, I just realized that I'm trying to figure out how to end this, and like I was thinking about like doing like a recommendation system, but then I realized like this whole thing was like a spoiler, like, and so it's like we're talking to people who already played it.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, I don't know. What I will say is that it was good. I had a lot of fun. We played it through twice. We're probably going to play it through again at some point.
Yeah.
But it was a solid experience. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, totally good. Yeah, I was looking at some top 20 lists for horror games, and someone had Until Dawn on there. Like, I think it was like number 12 or 10 or something. And I was like, okay, yeah, I agree with that. It's not the best, but it's up there. It's solid. What do you think? Because I know you had a varying opinion. The jump scares after you went through the second time, you were like, all right, this game is not an 8 out of 10, it's a 7 out of 10.
It wasn't the jump scares. It was, I don't know. After first playthrough, I was like, I don't really know. I don't know. I had to play it again to really grow an appreciation for it. And I think it's Josh's character that keeps the game floating for me, because the theme here, I like that you have a prank gone wrong that a year later sets off another prank that goes wrong. There's something about that's really cool. For me, I'm treating this like a movie more than a game, and I'm rating it that way because, let's be honest, it is an interactive, for me, it's an interactive movie anyway. So it's really not bad, because we watch horror movies as a joke. Most of the horror movies we watch are terrible. Mm-hmm. So even if this were a movie, it'd still not be bad. It'd actually be, like, kind of up there for me. Yeah. I'm gonna give it, I'm gonna put a number on this. I'm gonna give it. Let me think.
Again,
I'm gonna give it a 7.84 because I don't feel like it's a 7.85.
What is this IGN shit?
You know what I mean?
Get out of here.
You know what I mean?
Get out of here with this shit. You know what? I'm going to give it a 7.3.5 pi to the rounded to the nearest letter.
I'm more critical, and I don't really know why. There are some things in there that I don't like. That honestly felt really weird. The cheap jump scares they did felt so weird to me and felt so totally out of place.
Yeah.
It like they were just trying to keep you scared and on your toes.
Yeah, it's like it's the problem with the pacing. They knew they had to set all of these things up.
Yeah, your characters walking around and
they needed a ramp up, and all these characters were walking around doing basically nothing. So I guess they felt like, oh well, we need to have something happen.
Yeah, and so boom, here's a jump scare. Here, let's freak you out.
Yeah,
but then there are some things that they did great. I love Josh's character. I think they did a great job, and I think the actor did a great job on Josh, because Josh gives you a creepy vibe from the get-go, as he's supposed to, and then, of course, that there's a lot at play here. He's got something planned, and on top of that, he has his own issues.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is. It's really, really sad, actually.
Still, like, he's doing the same thing to those kids that they did to his sisters. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like...
I know, but it's the whole, like,
karmic justice. Like, but then again, they didn't get punished. I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't say karmic justice. I would just say that, like it's a,
it's a lesson that wasn't learned.
Yeah.
And Josh, I like him mainly because...
He tries to fix the situation, too, by recreating a mistake, really. But it's not, it's... I don't know. It's a little weird because or tough because it's not his fault. Because you have a situation where these kids have no idea that they're on a mountain that's cursed, where there's Wendigos running around and killing everyone.
Yeah. But then again, the original crew had no idea that Hannah and Beth would run out into the snowstorm.
No,
so it's like, but here's the thing: not all of those characters had mental issues. Josh does.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like, he's got reasons for doing what he did, and he misses his fucking sisters, and it's like, he's sympathetic to me, which makes it kind of shitty that he dies no matter what you fucking do.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he dies no matter what.
So everybody else can live, but Josh dies no matter what?
Yeah, Josh dies no matter what.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Josh, if you, quote-unquote, save him by collecting all of the notes for the sisters, for the twins, they call them, at the very last minute when Wendigo Hannah grabs Josh,
which we got on my second playthrough.
Right,
she grabs Josh, she drags him off, and then he turns into a Wendigo. Yeah, and you see him attack some people.
Yep, because he was eating the stranger's body.
Oh my gosh,
holy damn! How fast did he change into a Wendigo? I thought it would take longer than that. God damn! Like that was in like a day.
Yeah, Jesus. I can't because. From Hannah's little journal that she left behind, I can't remember the speed, but, damn, I didn't know that fuck, that really sucks.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's even more sucky, and I guess it's kind of, it's really interesting. It's very tragic, that he suffers even more. Mm-hmm. Him and his sister suffer, and then these kids who, like, started this whole thing, let's be honest, get away. They have the ability anyway to get away scot-free.
Yep.
So
we don't know what's the canon ending.
It's like this kind of revenge thing that what do they say about revenge? I don't know what they say about revenge. Okay, if you go after revenge, Wendigo's gonna get you. He's gonna eat you, turn into a Wendigo, or not eat you, just kill you because they don't eat. That was the weird thing about the Wendigo is that they give off. They don't like. They just go after you to kill you. Yeah,
they give off a serial killer vibe.
So at the end, when they're on the lodge and you got like 3 Wendigo, they're fighting each other. And I feel like if they saw you as prey to kill and eat, that them fighting each other would make sense. But because they just basically kill you, it does not make sense for them to be fighting each other. And I also kind of didn't like... They get out by sheer coincidence. I'm not a fan of those kind of, like, getting into trouble by coincidence is cool and all. Getting out of trouble by coincidence, I'm not a fan of. And if that Wendigo hadn't thrown the other Wendigo into the gas fireplace thing, how would they have gone out of that? I don't know. But, yeah, so, but, I mean, still, I don't, it felt like a movie. And that's why I stayed up, 8 hours. and then the next night 7 hours. So, I mean, what does that say? It was interesting. I would recommend it. I wouldn't pay $60 for it.
No,
I don't like paying $60 over video.
No, I think we're past the point when games should not be $60.
Yeah.
Like, games should be, like, back in the old days, like, fucking at least $50. Like, it just seems too much. It seems like too much to me, and to you.
Yeah, that's my only, I guess, concern about the video games that are coming out now that tend to be more focused on, like, cinematography. Because, you know, if I want to watch a movie, I can, like, rent a movie for way cheaper than a video game costs. I don't like paying $60 for something that I'm going to kind of play for 8 hours. Yeah, and I guess technically we played again. So we played for 16 hours. Yeah. But it was because of, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know.
Like, games like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 5, like, I feel like I at least got my money's worth with that. Because I played that so...
Your regular standard game long. Where you're hitting buttons for, like, 30 hours, 20 hours, whatever. But in this one, you're not, there's not a lot of gameplay.
That's why
there's not a lot of button pushing on your part.
Yeah. So...
And if you're into that, cool, get this game.
All right, guys, I think it's time to when to go.
That was good.
Thanks.
That was good.
We'll just end it on that.
Yeah, it's time to when to go. See ya.
All right. Well, when to see you later.
We'll, whatever, just bye.
Okay. Oh, Wolfie ruled. Wolfie forever. I saved Wolfie on my first fucking run. You got him killed.
It was an accident. My intention was to do, for the most part, the opposite of what you did. Because there was a lot of me telling you what to do in the first playthrough, and I kind of felt bad about that. But because there's basically a part where you have the option to either keep running or barricade, I think, the door. And I decided, I'm just going to keep running. And the dog doesn't want to jump down with you because he's a pussy and he's afraid of heights. So he dies.
So the Wendigo breaks through because
the Wendigo breaks through.
No barricade.
Because there's no barricade and he kills the dog. Oops, my bad. I didn't mean for the dog to die.
Yeah, well, the dog died. So.
Though I did want to kind of test it out. I was playing with my sister. At the beginning, you have the ability to, and the totem warns you. That's something we also totally didn't talk about. The fucking totems. But
no,
whatever.
I talked about it a little bit.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
But it's whatever. Anyway, the totem warned you not to throw, hey man, maybe you shouldn't, like, I don't know, throw a snowball at a bird. I decided to go ahead and do it. And me and my sister both responded in, like, whoa kind of way, because it sounds like the bird, what did she call it? It passes death instantly and goes straight to hell. It makes the craziest, saddest sound, and even Mike's like, what are you doing?
Oh no! Damn, Chess.
And you're like, oh, and you feel instantly bad because it just like dies, dies. There's no like, oh, gasping for air. It's just dead, okay? And it's on the ground, and it's sad. But there's not any heavy repercussions for doing any damage to animals. It's just bad luck. There was, immediately after that, you missed it, but there was, like an icicle hanging from a tree, and then it falls down, and you don't even die from it. You can, there's a QTE, I won the QTE, and we rolled out of the way. But
can you not roll out of the way and it'll impale you both?
Apparently Ashley told me that you won't die.
That's what I thought.
So.
Because that's way too early for characters to be dying.
Yeah, it's more just like a warning. It's a definite warning, like, hey man, maybe you should just like, because the Indians were totally like, chill with the animals, man. They did not hunt. They did not hunt there.
Yeah, I think it's a forewarning for Matt and the deer. Or were they deer? I think they were deer, like antelope, reindeer, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you hurt the deer, if you hit it in the head with an axe, guess what? Your ass is going over the cliff. So, but yeah. Anyways.
And even then you can survive from that. If you miss the QTE, then you fall to your death. But none of the, to my knowledge, if you kill the birds, it's just like, it's not something that guarantees your death. Or not the birds, but the animals, period. It's not something that it just gives you.
It's bad luck.
Yeah, right. So.
Okay.
Totally,
right.
Yeah, sure. This is the third ending for the podcast.
Yep.
I knew I wasn't going to remember, like, everything. I knew there was a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah. It's one of those games. There's a lot of stuff to unpack.
You can edit it. You can edit it and make it look good.
All right, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Man. Thanks.
We'll see you later.
This is a shitty ending.
Yeah, it's a shitty ending.
This podcast was brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Thanks, Pizza Hut.
Do you game? Eat pizza.
When to go to Pizza Hut?
When to go to Pizza Hut?
Right now is when you go.
And maybe
That's it.
if you guys like this podcast, you'll hit up Tortoise on Tour on Twitter, and then he'll make more.
Yeah, if you like it. Or if you don't like it, hit me up.
If you don't like it, hit us up and let us know, because we'll never do another one ever again.